Sequels.
We're doing a sequel.
They're an ingrained part of literally everything, and they have been since the dawn of everything. If something out there is popular, chances are the sequel's gonna be made. Now, does that mean everything popular deserves a sequel? My sources say no, but I digress. Sonic himself has been no stranger to sequels, although direct numbered sequels or whatever have been gone for a long time if we don't count the movies. Sonic 1, 2, 3, and then Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, and then nothing. Sure, we're all calling it Sonic Frontiers 2, but that's definitely not the actual name. It's probably gonna be something like the Sonic Horizons. Oh wait, truly, the last time Sonic games have ever gotten a full-on numbered sequel was the infamous Sonic 4. Ooh, scary. Eugene Sonic fans don't even gaff about that creepypasta shit. Show them this and they'll start fucking pissing everywhere. But anyways, today I'm here to answer the thought-provoking question nobody has ever asked before. What is the real Sonic 4? So I think skipping over 4 completely and looking at other contenders off the bat is low-key stupid because it neglects Sonic 4 completely. I mean, why does everybody dismiss it? Because it's shit, sure, but why is it shit? The question, what's the real Sonic 4, exists for a reason, and I think we have to answer why people dismiss Sonic 4 in the first place, and why it shouldn't be considered the true Sonic 4. Sonic 4 promotes itself as a true sequel to Sonic 3, being a brand new classic-style Sonic game, and that automatically gives it boxes that need to be checked. And it doesn't really check any of them. The first and most obvious thing is physics, which, yes, they're entirely different and don't work like your standard pinball, which Sonic is based off of. He's very stiff, he doesn't accelerate down slopes properly, he's not as responsive. I'm sure you get it all. This in turn affects how level design is made, and oh man, is the level design different. So differences in design philosophies don't make it inherently less of a sequel. If anything, it makes it more of one. Pretty much all of the classic games have differing philosophies, and 4 is no different. However, where each classic title brought something new to the table and innovated in different ways, Sonic 4 just takes Sonic 2 and simplifies it a ton for the mobile device audience. Kids won't understand that Casino Night bullshit. No, Casino Climax, oh. Terrain is super straight all the time, no subtle bumps or anything. Most of this game's slopes takes place as 90-degree ones that serve to quickly elevate you up to a higher plane. No, seriously, they're used so much. Homing chains are now present everywhere. There's so much strings! In short, it's just a very simplified experience. Everything about Sonic 4 is a devolution of the classics, and even stripping it down to the most essential parts, gameplay, we see that it doesn't push the gameplay formula forward, or rather, exclusively backwards. Hey, real quick, subscribe, you son of a bitch. Argue with me in the comments and join my Patreon for early access to videos. Fuck you. But off of Sonic 4, I think a game people tend to neglect in the conversation of a sequel to Sonic 3 is actually Sonic Adventure. But I kinda get it. Before Sonic 4 actually came out, I'll be honest, this was Sonic 4. Yes, it's completely different in nearly every way from its predecessors, but this is probably the only game that's able to get away with that. It was Sonic's big jump into 3D, so it having drastically different gameplay is honestly something that doesn't completely knock it out of the running. At the time, it was just straight up a sequel to Sonic 3. Before the big classic and modern split, this was just the next Sonic game. It also helps that Sonic Adventure directly builds upon lore established and pointed at in Sonic 3, putting a big focus on the Echidna tribe, Knuckles, the Master Emerald, and everything kind of revolving around that. However, I think in the modern day, we can see that Sonic Adventure can't really be considered the true Sonic 4 anymore. Sega don't love you no more. First off, Sonic 4 just existing retcons the idea of Adventure 1 being Sonic 4, so that's kind of dead. And plus, since its release, we've gotten more classic games that are very clearly building off Sonic 3, trying to be Sonic 4, which obviously I'll cover in due time. Now, what I said about Sonic 4 killing the idea of any games released before it being the true Sonic 4 also kind of fucks with another game that I think is our most realistic so far, Sonic Advance. This game was released for the GBA in a year that I can't be bothered to look up, and it's easily the most viable out of the games we've seen so far. Okay, well that's a low bar, but okay, fair enough. It's a 2D sprite art game that evolves on the ideas and philosophies present in Sonic 3. It's a very good looking game, and even though the physics are different, they're not detrimental like Sonic 4's are. Sonic 4's physics weren't bad because they weren't like the classics, they were bad because they only made gameplay worse and because well, they were shit. In Advance, the physics aren't as, like, in-depth or accurate to that of a pinball, but they aren't bad, they're just different. They play well with the levels they're a part of and actively enhance them rather than detract from them. And in terms of level design, it also has different philosophies. In short, Advance 1 is way more of a traditional platformer. Speed sections are extremely few and far between, and it's probably one of the slowest Sonic games out there. And I say that not as an insult or criticism. However, I think the thing that stops Advance from getting the title of true Sonic 4 is probably its scope. Sonic 3 is a piss-poor number of stages, but that's just because of a shitty McDonald's deal, and the true Sonic 3 experience has way more zones. Sonic Advance only has about the same number as Zone Sonic 1 has, and it's certainly shorter than most classic titles. I think it being on the GBA unfortunately just makes it automatically deemed a lesser game, and while it does evolve on the gameplay, I don't think it evolves on it enough. If anything, I think a game that would warrant the title of Sonic 4 more would be Advance 2. It gives Sonic's new moves, mechanics, a whole lot more. Despite being called Sonic Advance, Advance 1 is honestly a really simple game. Aren't I clever? And obviously Advance 2 can't be considered Sonic 4 because there's a 2 in the name. But regardless, Advance 1 is a pretty great game, and I think in terms of being an evolution, it's just a tad too simple to really warrant the title of Sonic 4. And also because, yep, rip the band-aid off, Sonic Mania and Sonic Superstars. Sonic Mania, in a lot of ways, is inarguably the true Sonic 4, and for most of you watching, you already consider it to be. However, that'd just be too easy for me, being the contrarian that I am. But before I argue why Sonic Mania is maybe sorta not totally the true Sonic 4, there are a lot of things about it that just are. In so many ways, this game is a direct evolution of Sonic 3, from the sprite work and visuals being so much more, better isn't the right word, because in many instances I like how the classics look a bit more, but I guess higher fidelity is the right thing to say. The pixel count on this thing is crazy. There's so much detail on everything, maybe a bit too much. Sonic, you're looking a little too blue.
Deflecting all this ice. I can't see a motherfucking thing.
Man, get the fuck out of here.
Nah, for real, nigga, look. Shit. Damn, man.
It's all intentionally trying to look like an evolution of the classics while still retaining a lot of the core looks and appeal they had. It limits itself very creatively to make sure it looks like an evolution while also trying to look like a direct sequel. The music is completely different, with it being all T-Lopesy. There's like 5 billion instruments all playing at once sometimes, which the Genesis couldn't do because it had like, I don't know, like what, 2 instruments available at all times? And looking at the gameplay, well, by God, it plays just like one of them good old classic Sonic games, don't it? Ironically enough, though, I think its gameplay accuracy may be, funny enough, one of the reasons why I'm not so certain on whether I consider it the true Sonic 4. You see, Sonic Mania's gameplay falls into the pit of maintaining the status quo rather than evolving the formula. Each classic Sonic game evolved the formula in some way, even if you may not notice. There's a big difference between Sonic 1 and 2, and there's a big difference between Sonic 3 and Sonic 2. However, Mania fails to really innovate on the classic Sonic formula by looking at the past instead of looking forward. For most of its runtime, Mania wears its Sonic 3 and Sonic 2 inspirations on its sleeve. These levels are very clearly a mixture between those two games. It has the more formulaic nature of Sonic 3 with a lot of quick hopping between platforming section and speed section back to back to back, but it also has a bit more open and less restrictive levels that allow you to go faster on a moment-to-moment basis like Sonic 2. Not saying this is a bad formula necessarily, even though I'm not personally the biggest fan of it, but it's certainly one that fails to innovate, and that's something I think is more of a necessity than people think. In many ways, Mania feels like a Sonic 3.5 rather than its own thing. I also think Mania is a bit held back by being forced to be the nostalgia game that features mostly levels from previous games. A lot of Sonic Mania's identity isn't its own, it's bits and pieces of other games. However, despite this, in terms of aesthetics, it is so clearly an evolution of Sonic 3, and that's what really makes me scratch my head. I'm gonna come back to Mania shortly, but the only thing left to talk about is Sonic Superstars. This game is very polarizing to a lot of people, sure, but goddamn, it is so insanely close to being the true Sonic 4. Jesus fucking Christ. Shit aesthetics, yes, obviously, but what makes it, and Mania, such a close call is because Superstar's gameplay is just way more of a proper evolution of the design philosophies present in the classics and innovates way more than Mania does. People often say Superstars doesn't innovate enough, and while I think it's fair to want more technical stuff in modern classic games, what a stupid fucking sentence. I don't think people are saying that just because they're well thought out critiques. I think it's just because they don't really like the game. You could argue Mania gets a pass because it's supposed to be the nostalgia game, but even if it wasn't, I doubt anybody would be giving it the same shit they give Superstars when it comes to the innovation critiques. But anyways, in terms of gameplay, Superstars changes things up a lot. This comes with how engaging the moment-to-moment gameplay is and how it makes itself way less formulaic than Sonic 3 was. Speed sections exist, but they're very infrequent, and usually when they do show up, they barely last any time at all. Sonic 2 is the closest thing I could compare this game's formula to, as it isn't super formulaic like Sonic 3, and has more of a focus on moment-to-moment gameplay. The thing that sets it apart, though, is that high-level play of Sonic 2, while not necessarily easy to obtain, can feel sort of like you're going through the motions a lot of the time, and most of the really engaging moments are purely reliant on optimization. Superstars moment-to-moment gameplay is much more engaging. There's always something going on. The easiest way to dumb it down is just by saying Superstars has more inputs per second. Sonic 2 also has the issue, in my opinion, of being a bit too repetitive throughout its levels. I mean, comparing this bit near the start of Aquatic Ruin and near the end, it plays quite similarly. Whereas Whereas looking at this bit near the start of Frozen Base and near the end of it, we see it shakes things up more frequently, leading to every second feeling fresh and exciting. So Sonic Superstars is undoubtedly the true Sonic 4. In terms of gameplay, can I call it the true Sonic 4 period? The way I feel about it all is that in terms of aesthetics, Mania is the true Sonic 4, but in terms of gameplay, it's Superstars. I obviously value gameplay way more than aesthetics, but even I can say that calling Superstars the true Sonic 4 when it looks and sounds like that just it feels wrong. And then on the other hand, Mania fits the textbook definition of true Sonic 4, but its commitment to sticking to the past and its gameplay not really evolving keeps me from calling it the true Sonic 4. So at the end of the day, what the fuck is the real Sonic 4? All the discussion is arbitrary listings of what's more important than what. I keep saying Superstars might be closer than Mania because of the gameplay, but how much does gameplay even weigh into the equation? Fuck that, how much do dimensions weigh into the equation? I mean, why can't it be Sonic Adventure? Everything's a lie!
I can't do it. I can't do it, Squidward. What? Every sentence, every paragraph, spoons, bread, salad, pepper. Don't you understand? My brain is full of brain. If I have to memorize a single word, I'm getting...
But seriously, what's the real Sonic 4? Fucking look at the title, dude. It's Sonic 4. Real answer, though, there isn't one. There is not a true Sonic 4 because of, number one, the corporate answer. The only game titled Sonic 4 looks like that. And number two, games released after 3 that I've discussed can't be that easily deemed as the true Sonic 4. Actually, fuck it all. Just Sonic 3 is the 4th Sonic game. Sonic 3 is Sonic 4. I don't care. But seriously, if you enjoyed, be sure to subscribe and yell at me in the comments about why you disagree with my stupid, shitty opinions. Just know, I won't care or respond to them. If you want to support me the best you can join my Patreon for as low as $2.50 a month and get early access to videos. I'll see you all next time. Peace.